Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Donovan, and tonight I'm excited to share with you an unboxing and first look at a brand new smartwatch, also a smartwatch phone, as you can see right over here. This is from Kospet. It is the Kospet Brave in black, and it's available right now on GearBest.com, as you can see right down here, for $100. So this is, as far as I know, the third watch from Kospet, at least the one that I've seen. This is kind of like their flagship one. I did a kind of initial impressions of this watch about a week ago. This is called the Kospet Hope. It's available right now for $140 at GearBest. And then there's also the Kospet Lite, which is $120 right now. So basically just step down specs from what you see here on the Kospet Hope. So a couple things about this one. This one is, again, like their flagship. It has 3 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of internal storage. This one's running Android 7.1.1, whereas this one's running Android 6.0. This one also has 3 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of internal storage, whereas we only get 2 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs of internal storage and 2 gigs of RAM on the Kospet Brave. This one also has an 8 megapixel camera, which technically really is only a 5 megapixel that's upscaled to 8 megapixels, whereas this one doesn't have a camera at all. And then this one is running the MediaTek 6739 at 1.3 gigahertz, where this one's going at 1.2 gigahertz, and it's the 6737 processor. So I think that about covers all of the specs. They both have a 620 milliamp hour battery, so it's a beastly battery. This one is IP67 water certified, and this one's IP68. So I think one of the big differences between the two is that I think this one's going to be a little bit more rugged in terms of its design than one you get with the Kospet Hope. So let's go ahead and unbox it and take a look at the watch here. So this is my first time looking at it. So similar, maybe just a little bit different. So one thing I noticed right off the bat, that is not on the Kospet Hope. So I'm thinking that's where your SIM card goes. Down here at the bottom, that is definitely different. So here's our heart rate sensor on the Kospet Hope. Here it is on the Kospet Brave. You can see this one has 4 pins, where there's only 2 pins here. Our speakers over here on the side with this one, where the speaker's up here on the top. And we have 2 buttons. There's our microphone over here. So this one has 2 buttons, but then right there in the middle is the camera, and you can see obviously there's no camera here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this one on. And in terms of the bands, it looks like they both come with the same bands. Now, I mistakenly, when I did my initial impressions of the Kospet Hope, said this one only has, what was it? 22 millimeter bands, but it's actually 24. And same thing here with the Kospet Brave. We have 24 millimeter bands as well, and they are fully removable, as you can see. And looks like that's about it. That's about it in terms of the design. So you can hear that speaker maybe. I'm not sure if you guys can hear that or not. It does come with a screen protector built in. And while that's going, we'll just go ahead and take a look at it here. And all right. So I got a little sticky note here. It says, "Dear Media, before testing the Kospet Brave, please connect it to Wi-Fi to update the latest firmware. Bluetooth call function is added in this version. Thanks for understanding." All right, cool. So we'll have to update it before we take a look at it. So this is just a quick rundown of how to use the watch. We have a SIM removal tool, and then also here we have our quick instructions there. And then in the package, let's see if this is the same as what you get with the Kospet Hope. So we get a screwdriver. Now that's going to be, I'm guessing, for that SIM tray here. So that's what you're going to use for that. And let's see here. Oh, this is interesting. Little tweezers. We'll have to figure out what those are for here in just a second. And then we have 4 pins here versus the 2 pins you get with the charger on the Kospet Hope. So I'm going to go ahead and get it set up here in just a moment. I'm going to go ahead and let it do its firmware update before we take a look at it. But actually, let's go ahead and swipe through this just real quick. All right, so we'll take a look at it in just a second. I'm going to get it set up, and we'll come back in just a moment. Alright, so we got the Kospet Brave all set up, and I've actually been using it for the last 24 hours, so I want to go ahead and talk about some of the real noticeable differences I've seen between this watch and the Kospet Hope. So the first thing that you'll notice right off the bat when you're using the two is the difference in the screen technology. So the Kospet Brave is using an AMOLED display, and it's 400 by 400 screen resolution, so nice, vibrant, punchy colors, and a very clear resolution, whereas on the Kospet Brave here, we have a 240 by 240 screen resolution and an LCD display. Now, another thing that's right off the bat noticeable in terms of the differences is over here with the Kospet Brave, we're using an app called Fundo. So we'll go ahead and go down here. So you can see it is Fundu or Fundo. I'm not really sure how you pronounce it. This one's very much fitness focused. So if you go through the different options down here in the bottom with the app, you can see it's very much fitness focused, and I actually have it set up here. Whoops, got an alarm clock set up there. All right, so I had it set up with my Apple phone or my iPhone here, and of course both of these watches will work with both Android or iOS. And over here on the Kospet Brave, or sorry, this is the Kospet Hope, it uses an app called We Watch 2, and considerably different, a little bit more of a, I guess, difference in focus here. This one's a little bit more, I guess, smartwatch focused, but either way, I definitely think I prefer overall the app that comes with the Kospet Brave. I think Fundo is just a little bit more of a complete app. Now, another big difference is the difference in the actual software on the watches. So I would have assumed that they would be very similar. This one's using Android 7.1.1 in the background. This is running Android 6.0, and when we swipe down, you'll see that this one has some shortcuts here, and this is what I'm used to. Pretty much every watch I've ever done that's running Android has a shortcut setting that looks just like this, and then you go over here, there's your cleaner, your music, and then your weather. Over here, this one has some different things here. So we have, first of all, our battery, we have our cellular connectivity, so you can see I'm using Wi-Fi, and then we also have just kind of like our notifications here, so we can set what kind of notifications we get. So I just kept it on vibrate. And then over here we actually have our notifications. That's where you're going to go to get your notifications. So you can see at the moment I don't have any. Let's go out of that. Oh, and the back button is this one down here. This is the home button. And then this is to actually go to your recent apps. So you can see we can swipe through our recent apps there. And we'll go out of that. And this one's, of course, Bluetooth and then airplane mode. So that is if we go from the top. If we go from the left, there's actually nothing. So that's kind of interesting. I'm not really sure. Normally, if you go over here on the Kospet Hope, that's actually where you'll find your notifications. So I definitely prefer having the notifications pop over here on the left rather than having to go up to the top and hitting that notification icon. So that's definitely preferable there. And then if we swipe over to the right, of course, we're going to get all of our apps. Now, with the Kospet Hope, it's the same thing. We swipe over to the right, we get our apps, but then one more swipe and we get into our workout apps here. Now, one very noticeable difference here is that with this one, with the Kospet Hope, if I go into, let's say, an outdoor run, it's not going to use the GPS. It's just going to say you can go, hit play, whatever. Whereas here on the Kospet Brave, if I go into the workout app, and this one does also have blood pressure technically and heart rate there, but if I go into this multi-sport app, so we'll click on that one, and I go ahead and pick something like, I think I had walking out there last, but notice it's going to wait for GPS, and then once it hits GPS, it's going to go ahead and start. It's going to give you a 3-second countdown. Now you can skip it if you want to, but if you want accurate GPS readings, you're going to want to use that. Now that is actually a huge benefit, especially if you're a runner, for this watch, because it's much more beneficial to actually have it let you know when it has GPS. So over here on the Kospet Hope, I ended up using a completely different app. I use Strava. Now you can use Strava on here because of course this has the full Play Store as well. Now I'm indoors, so it actually picked it up. So now you can see that it will actually start reading. So we have our mileage, our energy, that's calories burned, our pace, step count, and heart rate. And then now down here it actually shows you that it has 5 satellites. Now really to get super accurate GPS you're going to want like 10. But I'm indoors right now, so the fact that it even has 5 is pretty darn good. Swipe over to here to the left is going to pause it and then kind of show you your where you're at this point, and then you can swipe back over to the right and it'll pick it back up. And then if you want to end it, you actually swipe one more time and hit stop motion. That's it. So actually not too bad, and I do like that of course this one actually is using GPS, where over here on the workout app you're not actually using GPS, where if you want to actually use GPS you got to use a different app like Strava or Runtastic or whatever you use to map your workouts. So that's pretty awesome. So that's a few differences there. When we go in here to weather, this one does only have Celsius, whereas over here on the Kospet Hope, if I go into that weather again, you can see that it does have Celsius and Fahrenheit. So advantage to that one, to the Kospet. Oh, let's go out of that. So this is the back button again, and this is the home button. And a couple other things I want to mention here. So of course we do have the full Google Play Store. So go in here and notice that right now it's in square mode. So if you want to switch it, you hold this one down and you can see up here at the top, we can go into square or full. Go back and now we're in full screen mode. So that's no different, really pretty much the exact same thing you get over here. And of course you can download games, you can download whatever app you want. So YouTube, Netflix. If for some reason you actually want to watch Netflix or play some games on this little screen, you can do that, but we'll go ahead and go out of that. So I'm connected up to my Wi-Fi at the moment. And there we go. All right, so there's our back. So a few other things worth mentioning here. So we have Watch Manage. So that's just going to be our downloads and our file manager. We have our browser, our calculator, calendar, clock. We have Assistant, so this is going to be connected up to the phone, so I can go ahead and hit Find Phone. Should have the phone go off here in just a second, maybe. Oh, the phone's on, so I probably have to turn it off, I'm guessing. Let's try that again. There it goes, I can hear it vibrating. That's not super useful, but at least it's vibrating. That's okay. All right, so we have Find Phone. We also have Remote Capture, Remote Camera. We also have here, what is this one? Bluetooth connection, and then Fundo. So that's just going to actually give you a QR code for the app there, and my phone won't stop vibrating, so we'll clear that out. Okay, all right, and then I just downloaded one app for Spotify. So we'll go in here and real quick we have our speaker up here and then down here's our microphone as well. So let's just go ahead and see what we have. Oh, school's out for summer, so let's play some music real quick. So again, speaker right here. And don't want to play too much of that because, of course, that is a copyrighted song. But anyways, it's not the loudest speaker, but it's definitely usable. And then if you want to use, of course, if you're actually using this with a SIM card in here, you're going to use this one for the phone. And then we have our messages here. Unfortunately, they're in the same app. Over here on the Kospet Hope, notice that when I go over, so let's go out of that and slide over. So notice this one has phone, contacts, and messaging all separate, whereas over here I just hit that phone one and we have phone, messaging, and contacts all within that one app. And then Bluetooth calling, this is going to actually use the phone's Bluetooth calling there. So we have Bluetooth settings, and then we can actually make a Bluetooth call here. So if you want to make a call from the watch while connected to the phone using the phone's internet connection or the phone's connection, this is what you're going to use here. So anyways, just kind of a quick run through. Oh, I did forget one other thing, and that is if I swipe from the bottom, I have our step count for the day, and then over here we have a compass as well. So that is what you get in terms of software on the watch. Now again, like I mentioned, this watch is using a completely different app. All right, so there's our Kospet Brave. If we want to disconnect, we can go ahead and hit this thing right here, and then that'll give us the option. We can hit Find Our Device. That'll make the watch vibrate and beep. We have some unit settings. So here, notice that it says this feature does not support, but it does actually work. So we can change Fahrenheit in inches, but the Fahrenheit won't work, but it does change it to inches instead of metric. So while you're running, you do actually get miles. So I guess it's just that the Celsius and Fahrenheit doesn't work. We can connect it up to Apple Health. Now, of course, it would also work with Google Fit. So we're going to skip that, but it just kind of goes through the directions there. We have our push dial, so you can change our clock watch face there. Now you can also change the watch face by holding down here and then kind of scrolling through. Now, there's a limited number of watch faces on the watch. I believe there are maybe like 8 to 10, something like that. I tend to like one that shows a little bit more metrics, so that's what I was using right there most of the time. But you can see there's plenty of them available here. Lots and lots of watch faces down there. All right, so we'll go out of that. We have assist input. So this is kind of weird. I've never actually seen this one before. But if you don't want to type something in on the watch, let's say I'm in here and I don't want to type in a password, I can actually type it in here. So let's say I have a password that is show me the money, and I can actually send it to the watch, which is really, really weird, but it works. So that was kind of cool. So instead of typing in passwords on the watch, which is kind of a pain in the butt, I could actually just type it in here. That was kind of cool. Then of course we have some context. This is just going to move the context over from your phone onto the watch. We have heart rate test, user guide, join us, and about. These are just, the rest of these down here, basically just following your workout information. So there you go. So this is if you want to record your actual workout on the phone instead of on the watch. And we have analysis of your workout for the day, and then just some information about yourself. So that's about it. So the Kospet Brave is definitely very, very different from the Kospet Hope. There's a lot of differences. This one will work on 4G LTE on T-Mobile as well. So I did try it out. And yes, of course, you do remove the SIM card here and plug it in there. So that those tweezers were actually used to pull the SIM out once I had it in there, because it does go in there quite a ways. So in order to pull it out, you have to use those tweezers that it comes with. But this one I definitely feel like is more geared towards someone for workout purposes. It still has all the smartwatch features that you get on the Kospet Brave, or the Kospet Hope, I should say. But a few more workout features, specifically being probably the one that's the most important is the fact that it actually uses GPS in the app that you use here for workouts. Now, again, you can download other apps if you choose to. So if you'd rather have like Strava or Runtastic or Map My Run or whatever you use to work out with, it can use those as well. And of course, it does have the heart rate sensor. I will mention, though, that the heart rate sensor is not super reliable. So one thing I did do is I actually compared it up to, I was wearing my Apple Watch at the same time, and then I was wearing the Kospet Brave over on this hand, and I was watching the two heart rates, and this one was saying, 50 to 55, which is my resting heart rate, and this one was in like the 70s, 80s, and then all of a sudden it jumped up to 100 while I was just sitting there. So certainly, I don't know if I would rely on that heart rate sensor. The GPS on the walk was accurate, so can't complain there. So I haven't gone for a run with it yet, but that will be coming up in a further video, and I'll be comparing these up a little bit more detailed in a future video as well. So let me know what you guys think about the Kospet Brave. Again, it's only $100 on gearbest.com right now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video. Peace.